So I want to talk to you about the roles ideally that offshore team members can successfully fulfill. Because if we look at the deep and narrow structure, finders, miners, grinders, there's going to be a natural inclination to fulfilling these roles for offshore. So I'll let you explain that.
Sure. For those of you who understand our deep and narrow teams, will understand that when we service the clients, we break it into managing the traffic flow into two categories, because what kills an accountancy firm is the amount of traffic that comes through and the inability or the inefficiencies of managing that traffic. And if you can get the management of that traffic efficiently and effectively, then it goes a long way to increasing productivity and all that. And the traffic flow is broken up into communication traffic and production traffic. The orange people represents the people who handle the communication traffic, and the green person there, who's the senior production manager, handles the production traffic. That senior production manager, the green avatar, delegates the work down to the accountants and bookkeepers below him or her. So obviously the jobs that are most suited to the outsourcing, the accountants, the bookkeepers, intermediate accountants, because they're overseas and there's very little ability to be able to communicate with the clients. Now, the only communication that the grinders, if you like, in this picture, does with the clients, communication around, I've got a missing bank statement, page 449 is missing, or can you send through the dividend statement that's missing? So it's more production orientated. The senior client manager and the assistant client manager, the orange colored avatar, handles all the really high level communication. So when a client comes in and says, you say, I've got $100,000 profit, and you say my tax is 30 grand, but I've got no money in the bank. How can I have made 100 grand profit? So you've got to have a person that has an ability to be able to explain difficult technical situations in very simple language to clients. And not everybody can do that. So it's a bit of a skill. And that skill is learned, yes, but it's also quite instinctive that I found. The two types of distinct people that handle those two types of communication. So in respect to the overseas staff, they fit the role of the grinders and the accountants, the people doing the work are much, much better. And the communication is generally done by the local people who've got a fairly good command of English. I'm not talking about being able to speak English. I'm talking about being able to convert very difficult technical information into very simple layman's terms.
Mm-hmm. Jamie, this question is probably more triggered for yourself. The team at Sky in the Philippines, do they have contact with clients? Are they allowed to email clients? What's your policy around that?
Yeah, so that's determined by the senior client manager, Brenton. So as a firm, we allow it 100%. We've had our team members from the Philippines come to Australia, like various times. And, the senior client manager and myself, when pre-COVID, we would get to the Philippines, once a year as well to catch up with them. So yeah, most definitely, particularly the more experienced team members in the Philippines, absolutely. They do have contact with them. For example, the person I mentioned earlier who got mentioned in the annual report, when that lead came in originally and we worked out that they wanted all their bookkeeping done in their payroll, they met that person as part of the sales process up front. So it's a really good point to note that if you want your clients to deal with your offshore team, introduce them to the particular lead right up front from the word go in terms of what their role is, what they'll be doing, how they'll help. So be very, very clear, have a lot of clarity around what their role is, what they do, and where they sit on the team to deliver the service. And that's critical. Yeah.
And Jamie, you mentioned there that Danita is a senior production manager, which would be fairly uncommon in terms of a deep and narrow team structure to have a senior production manager in your offshore team. Talk to us a little bit about that. Now, did you hire Danita as a senior production manager, or has that been her career progression?
No, so that was just her career progression. So, once that particular team grew, we needed that person. So, you can either, you can hire externally or, better still, you can hire internally. So we looked at a review, we looked at her skills, her technical capability, her experience, over the 4 years. And at the end of the day, she could fill the role. And then she had people underneath her as well that, she would just review the work, check it, review it. And the whole point of the senior production manager is get the work to a standard, 80, 90%, done, where the senior client manager or assistant client manager can just fine tune it and finish it off. It was just a promotion. We promoted within, and Danita had the skills to do that and the years of experience. So, we all know once an accountant gets sort of, 3, 4, 5 years of experience and they're doing the same jobs every year, year in, year out, our industry is like that, the same tax returns, the same bookkeeping. It's over and over. And that's the beauty of the work and the industry we're in, that, it's just the same thing over and over. And, we're highly sort of, I guess, checklist driven at Sky as well. The senior client managers, and they all have their idiosyncrasies, but some of them have excellent checklists to follow. It might be 30 checklists, but what you got to realize, once you've been through your checklist that might have 30 or 40 tick items on it, once you've been through that 10 times, it just becomes habit. And they don't miss it. It's just like brushing your teeth every day.
Absolutely. And Danita's team and the grinding team, is her grinding team solely offshore, or does she have a mix of grinders onshore and offshore?
No, solely offshore, Brenton. So
Okay.
yeah, at Sky for some years now, our strategy has been to have all our production team offshore. And, if you do it right, you price it right, with the way that you roll it out, you can get a fantastic profitability, and you'll pay your offshore team members handsomely. And, they'll be paid really well in terms of their country. Again, that creates margin, 60% up to 90% gross profit margin. And that then helps you reward your local team, So it's, as Ed said, it's win-win. The firm owner gets pushed down from the top. We've got to keep our prices competitive. At the same time, we've got to pay everyone fairly. And it just is a win-win, because we can do that and keep the same margin. And that's what it's about.
Yeah, absolutely.